So welcome to Mr. Wizard's Workshop, episode 26. So the theme for this week is productivity, big picture. I've done 6 months of workshop now, so I'm halfway through a year. I thought this would be a good time to step back and review the big picture, the philosophy and key foundational elements of time and energy management and personal productivity. After all, the whole purpose of the workshops is to help you to manage your time, energy, and attention as wisely as possible, overcome procrastination, and get your shit done, i.e. to master both the inner game and the outer game of time management and personal productivity. Productivity is basically just getting results you want. You get the outcome that you want, then you are productive. And the more productive that you are, the more positive outcomes that you have. But, what's the end game? Why is it important to become a master of productivity and time management? How does it serve you? Well, one way to look at it is because it means success in the game of life. And I'd rather play successfully than be a spectator or a loser. There are two parts to the success. On the inside, it means feeling content, optimistic, and on the outside, it means achievement and making things happen in the external world, actually making a difference, having a positive impact on the world and the people around you. So real quick, housekeeping as usual, got the live attendees on mute so you can drop any questions or comments you might have along the way to the Q&A. At the end of the presentation, I'll check Q&A and open the floor up for discussion and questions. So if you only have the inner game working for you or you only have the outer game working for you, then you're going to feel like something is missing. We don't feel complete. There are many sad examples, especially celebrities who appeared to have it all, but were empty inside. We recently watched the Bee Gees. They're a big fan. We're a big fan of them. And Andy Gibb, who was the younger brother of the Bee Gees, had it all. He's a great looking kid, very popular. At one point he had like 3 number one songs in the top 3 songs in the top 10, but basically killed himself with drugs. You have to have both sides working for you. It's important to combine the inner and the outer game. And a critical part of that inner game is feeling in control of your life. So if you feel like you're a victim of fate or circumstances, like a ship tossed and driven by an angry sea, it's very difficult to feel happy and successful. The more we feel inside like we're controlling our lives, then the more effective we are in controlling what happens in the external world, getting the results that we want. Critical part of the outer game is the ability to zoom out, as work on something, in this case, your life and how you live it, and then also be able to zoom in and work in something. That is, apply specific practices, techniques, systems to focus in on the particular thing that you're doing. Another way to say that, it's important to see the forest, the macro perspective, and then also seize the micro perspective. Most of my workshops have been focused on systems, techniques, best practices. I'd say much more on the micro side, and that's all good. But now and for the next few episodes, I think I'm going to zoom out and focus on the macro. So I'm going to start by thinking about what prevents us from managing our time, attention, and energy well. I think there's some characteristics of today's culture that you need to be very conscious of and intentional about counteracting if you want to be as productive as you can be. So one of those is the reality of overwhelming choice. You live in a culture of truly astounding resources, information, choices, potential distractions, and competition for our time and energy. Paradoxically, many people today feel like they don't have enough personal choices for themselves. And if we feel like we have too few options, then we feel trapped. So there are 2 important skills you need to master to address this. The first is narrowing options when they have too many. And I've spent a lot of time teaching tools, techniques, and processes for doing that. The second one, generating options when we don't think or feel like we have enough. So I regularly support my coaching clients in doing this, but I haven't done any teachings on this specifically in the workshop. So I'll add that topic to my list of future episodes. Along with the overwhelming choice comes distractions, interruptions, or the opportunity for many, many distractions and interruptions. And those rob us of productivity more than any other one thing. You can think of minimizing distractions and interruptions as being at least as important as a project as anything you have on your plate. You need to relearn how to train your focus and focus on going deeper on the things that are important to you. And there's lots of processes and techniques that can support you in doing that, all of which I've talked about in the past. And in the future, I'll be talking about others and revisiting some of these, but quick. And this is just a list off the top of my head. It took me like 2 minutes. Eisenhower matrix, Pareto principle, the one thing question, calendar time blocking, daily rituals and positive habits, mindset practices. So the second cultural thing is the almost universally accepted myth of multitasking. If you haven't already, stop trying to spin lots of plates at once. Task switching and context switching which is what is mistakenly called multitasking, is extremely ineffective and energy draining. It is the anti-pattern for being truly productive. I did a whole workshop on this as well. I post about it on my website. I'm hoping you're with me on this. Multitasking is bullshit. So if you still think multitasking is a good thing and you're good at it, may God have mercy on your soul and strike the scales from your eyes. So the culture of craving entertainment, which modern media both trains people in and enables them, is the modern equivalent of the Roman bread and circuses. I think the real opiate of the masses. Entertainment's all about grabbing and I went to Wikipedia and just copied a couple of phrases, the attention and interest of an audience. It also brings pleasure and delight. Watching the nightly news with a primary focus of being entertained, because these days it isn't about the news, it's about entertainment. It's not likely to serve you well. Years ago, I stopped watching the nightly news. Neither will text gossiping with your friends, checking your Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram accounts dozens of times a day for likes. Also, not really the best use of your time and energy. Flame warring with idiots on Twitter, virtually killing dozens of bad guys in their latest first-person shooter video game, surfing porn, hanging out in poisonously polarized chat rooms and websites. It can all be entertaining as hell. Even though it was like fun, whoa, this is fun, woo. I landed on this is not really how I need to be spending my time and energy in my twilight, because all those things suck your time, energy, attention down a rat hole. So the last cultural thing I want to point out is the whole idea of magic pills and instant results. The idea that there's a magic pill, a silver bullet, an instant fix for the important things in life. I think this is fairly widespread. I think some of it comes from the drug companies and their unrelenting advertising on TV. So this belief that there is some magic instant solution for whatever ails you or whatever you want to get fixed doesn't get you into production. It's actually counterproductive, and believing in it will hurt your productivity. Instant gratification for immediate pleasure now instead of a better return in the future. And counterably, short-term results of an action and the long-term results of an action are usually different and very often opposite. I use a trivial example of eating a Baby Ruth bar, which I think are, wow, really tasty. The short result is instant gratification. Even 20 minutes, 30 minutes down the road, after I get the sugar rush high, I have a little bit of crash. And then the long-term impact, if I keep doing it, is not going to be a good thing for my health. Action item for this week, and since I'm up in the big picture, I had a couple of options, but I picked one I think would be useful for you, which is resolve to be very conscious and intentional with your social media interactions, as well as how you seek to be entertained. I have a reminder posted at my workstation right here. I invest my time, energy, and attention wisely. So while I do content development in social media, so I spend time in YouTube and Facebook and TikTok, my focus is as a developer, and I intentionally avoid being a consumer or social media or having that as my primary focus. Anytime, especially anytime I get into any of those platforms, I remind myself, I invest my time, energy, and attention wisely so I don't get sucked down into the cute kitty video rabbit hole. So if you found this video useful, you know what to do. Like, subscribe. If you know someone that would enjoy a benefit from it, please send them the link. And as always, if you have any questions or observations, please post them. I'll always respond to posts. And in the description of this week's recording, I'll post a link to register for this live workshop. So if you are already registered each Sunday and you want to learn how to level up your productivity in weekly bite-sized chunks, then you're invited to register. And I'll now open up the floor for questions and discussion.
The younger generation who are essentially, hardwiring their brain
yes
to live like that forever, and don't even know what it feels like to live with a healthy dopamine level and, these kinds of things. So
Right.
yeah, huge topic.
Yeah, I was thinking about, it's ironic. I'll break it up into little baby bite-sized chunks in TikTok because that's all they're capable of consuming. But targeting that particular audience, saying, "Hey, here's something to think about that might not have occurred to you."
Well, I mean, I'm one of them, right? Like I'm definitely in, I don't know, part of this development where
Right.
after years and years working and living online, thankfully I know what it's like to live offline as well.
Right.
But it really changes how your brain works. It changes
Yeah.
how you operate when you wake up, how you operate when you're, little things like how often do you look at the phone,
Right.
right? A little thing, but it can say so much about where you're currently at in your behavioral patterns.
Yeah.
And then, things like lack of motivation where you start digging in, I don't know, like all topics and completely disregard
Right.
the influence of technology and how hooked we are to certain technologies. And I don't know, it's so deep. It's such a huge topic, and I really like how you have a very clear perspective on it and you're able to articulate it short and simple.
And I think there's actually a balance. I mean, there's people like Cal Newport. I mean, he writes a lot of really good blog posts and does videos on it for digital minimalism, which is like delete your YouTube account, or actually, I think it's like delete your Facebook account for 30 days and see, and because I do content development and I think they're tools. So like anything, you can use a tool well, or you can use it poorly. So I do think happy medium, but if you don't even understand that you have options, that there's more than one way to approach it, then, you're sucked in and you're addicted. And I think that's honestly where a lot of people are these days. So it's better to have the choices. That's why I was thinking, I think I'm going to step back now and kind of take it to the big picture and start with kind of the cultural level. And then I'm going to start going through, probably have, I think, 9, 10, maybe 11 pretty high level productivity principles, and just go through maybe even just one at a time so I can do a deeper dive and still keep it reasonably short. So something to look forward to.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. You have a great rest of your day, what's left of it. And I'll see you next Tuesday. We're back on, right?
Yeah, I'll see you Tuesday. Have a great Sunday, Stephen. Good workshop.
Good. Thank you.
Glad to be back. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.